Hi, welcome to the show, Total Financial Solutions, Safer Money Hour. I'm Arif Halaby, along with Jeff Gerard, and we're talking about your family's finances. The end of the year is here, right? We're talking about getting out of debt, managing money, planning for the future. Difficult to talk about those kinds of things at a time when we're spending money on Christmas presents and Hanukkah presents, and sometimes birthdays that fall in the same time of year, and a lot of financial stress, a lot of pressures. The big difference, I think, is we have some level of predictability. You know that this time next year, so you have 12 months notice, we're good, that Christmas is going to be here, or Hanukkah, right? Those calendars are set a year in advance. We're pretty comfortable with knowing when that's going to take place. So surprise, there is no such thing as like, oh my gosh, saving for Christmas, or you know how much money we spent and it really hit my budget. No, folks. It's like car insurance. You know when that bill's coming. It's just like property tax, your next house payment. If it's something like, oh my gosh, I crashed my car last night and now I have to pay my deductible, right? That wasn't planned. I get it. But everything else, we kind of know what's coming down the road. So we want to plan better for that. Right? I guess there's some level of, I don't know if it's naivete, Jeff. What would it be called? Something like putting your head in the sand, right? Not wanting to deal with it.
That's exactly the words I was going to use. And it's one of those things that I think we put so far out in our minds that we don't treat it with the respect that it deserves because it's 12 months away, like you said. But if we treat it like a bill because we know, look, we want to participate, we want to buy gifts, we want to have, we want to have some expenditure at that time of year, no problem, whether it's a vacation or you're hosting. Look, that stuff's not cheap. It's already a party at my house if I just have dinner at the home with the family. So I can imagine, for everybody having a lot of folks come over, this is something that some people really put a lot more time into than they probably think that or admit that they do.
From the time I started saving and checking in savings accounts and opening those credit union accounts when I was 18 years old, there were things called Christmas Club.
Right.
Those allowed you to set aside to have some predictability. You could take out $25 a paycheck, $50 a month, however you chose to do it. And that allowed you to build up money so that in November, surprise, here's a big chunk of money to keep you from going into debt. Now, the reason I'm going down that road of predictability is because when you retire, your pension is a predictable thing. Your pension comes down the road, and it's that consistent, ongoing set of dollars that come into your pocket. And that is important. Unless you are part of a pension system or a company or an organization where they can make changes. And let me tell you, surprise, if you are part of any pension system, it can and will make changes. We don't know what the coming years are going to be, but we do know this, that cost of living generally tends to go up. And if a pension system says you are going to receive a certain amount of dollars per month, you think that's gospel. If Social Security says they're going to give you a certain amount of money, you think that's gospel. If the IRS says you're going to get a refund, oh wait, they just said they're not going to give the money back until when? At least February of this year? That means the government gets an extra month without giving you your refund. By the way, your refund is not a gift from the CPA. Your refund is money that you have overpaid. So when your tax preparer does your taxes, they're not giving you anything. So, oh my gosh, Jimmy got me this much, Susie got me that. No. By the way, guys, that's your money that they're giving right back to you without interest. And now the IRS is holding it an extra month. For what reason? Is it a punitive thing? Is it a, hey, we're going to spank you because you voted for President-elect Trump? I have heard and seen all sorts of things from folks that work in those agencies that are going to show the American people. I don't know what it is. I just know that if it's supposed to be your money, why isn't it your money? And why aren't they paying you a fee? If you owed them money and you waited a month, the IRS would charge you a fee. Do you understand that? They would charge you taxes and penalties.
Interest.
You will have to, but no, not if it's your money that they're giving back to you. So what you think of as a very consistent, predictable thing, CalPERS is one of those pension systems that I want you to be very careful if you're going to put all your eggs in one basket. I had a dinner with a gentleman not too long ago who worked for Caltrans. And Caltrans, right, it's a big organization. He's one of the engineer guys there. And he says, we were talking about retirement. Well, what do you do? Oh, retirement. And he says, I don't have one of those 457 retirement accounts. What I have instead is a CalPERS pension. I go, well, everybody, if you work for Caltrans and you're a full-time employee, you're part of their pension system. And he says, well, that's the thing that I'm counting on. I said, you're not putting any money aside in your own IRAs, individual retirement accounts. You're not putting money aside in the 457, which is the company retirement. No. I said, why not? He goes, well, it's I've got a guarantee. Those aren't guaranteed. I said, do you think your Caltrans pension through CalPERS is guaranteed? Oh, yeah, it is. I go, what does that mean, guaranteed? Well, it just means it can never go down. Okay, well, let's think about that for a second. Fast forward today, and we pull off one of the website, obviously, things that we watch. And here's the first chink in the armor, the first crack in the armor. And it's a city of Loyalton, California. It's not a very big city, a very small city, in fact, about 700 people. And because of the way the pension system works, the employer, the city, county, state, has to give money for the employees. And if they don't, then CalPERS reduces what it pays. Now, you might think a big city or state might not have any problems meeting those dollars. Maybe. But you also understand it's a much larger dollar figure. And when that takes place, and a city says, no, we don't have the money, what are they going to do? In this case, a lady's pension went from $48,000 a year, and her notification is in January 2017, it will be reduced to $19,000 a year. How are you going to go to living from $4,000 a month to living on maybe $1,500 a month? Do you see the problem there, folks? So I want you to realize this is, I think, the beginning of the problem. Maybe there's never going to be one. That's wonderful. But we prepared, and just like earthquakes and car insurance, you wear your seatbelt for the car accident that never happens. I'm happy for all those things. Right? You don't ride a motorcycle and crash every day, but you still wear a helmet every day. So you're protecting and preparing, right?
Right.
So why don't you protect and prepare that just in case the pension system does exactly what it did for this particular lady?
Well, and this is something that is unprecedented, and we're looking at this, like Arif's saying, this could be the writing on the wall. All it takes is for one small crack, and then the water is going to find its way through, whatever have you. We're talking about a financial system that has 1.8 million members, part of the CalPERS system. This is the largest retirement system that we know of. So for this to have an issue where a small town, now mind you, these pensions, there are 4 people that are retired, 4 retirees that are receiving pensions, and one case example is this lady in Loyalton that has this notification letter. In September, they give her 3 months notice that says you're going to be going from $48,000 down to probably about $19,000 in January. And this is something that's unfathomable by people that have worked. In this lady's case, 34 years, 29 out of those 34 years, she kept the books for the city of Loyalton. Talk about a slap in the face. She sees there's no problem with an entity, a city this size, even though it's small. They don't have a lot of expenditure, is what she's saying, and that they should be able to make their good on their obligations. So when they don't pony up and pay their part of it, CalPERS says, hey, look, we've only got so much on the books. We can only carry so much, carry these people's pensions for so long without you having to pony up and add some more money. So CalPERS bills Loyalton for about $1.6 million, and they say, sorry, we can't pay it. So what's the repercussion there? CalPERS comes back and says, sorry, we're going to have to reduce benefits. So it's what we've been saying for a long time. And we can say, look, we can kick and scream and stomp our feet and say, we have a contract, we've worked here for 3 decades, whatever have you. Just call it that much more time that we turned a blind eye to a situation like this is what I'm saying. So having a secondary source of income, a third, a fourth, 5 sources of income, that would be a wonderful thing for many, many people. In this lady's case, if she had one other source of income, I'd be surprised, because it sounds like from the interview that she's given to some of the media sources out there that this is everything to her. And what a drastic cut this is going to be for her.
There's many of you that are under the City of Los Angeles pension system. Right now, the City of Los Angeles has 20% of its operating revenue. 20% of its revenue goes directly to the city match for the pension system. So if you were a police, a firefighter, sanitation, general services, personnel department, whatever for the city of Los Angeles, 20% of the dollars that the city brings in for operating goes out the back door for the city match. Now that's after the 2011, 2012 pension reforms, which means there's this big move and oh my gosh, city employees, too much pension money, got it. So they said, employees, you're going to have to put a higher contribution amount and wait a little longer to retire and generally for a little less money. So they put all of these reforms in, they hit them all at once. People protested, they were mad, but everybody got it. After that, we're still at 20% of the operating dollars that come in. Now, what does that mean to the state of California? What did they just do to your car registration? What? Wait, car registration? Yeah, called car tax. Do you realize that if the state of California and the federal government calls it a fee, they don't have to pay, it doesn't have to go through their legislature, because the legislature can raise taxes. But the regulatory agencies, right, it's President Obama's really lined up the EPA, the National NEA, the Department of Labor, and on, with agencies that have depths of regulatory control. And we're seeing that in the state of California. It's a mirror image. Depths of regulatory control. When that takes place, what do you end up with is these arbitrary fees with no chance for you to protest, to say, wait a second, I don't want to vote for that, or I think that's wrong. So instead what they do is they pass these regulatory fees or these usage taxes or, right? We were told that the reason that we paid high taxes was for the roads, for the highway patrol, and we have a wonderful federal and state system for national parks. So that's why you're paying taxes, folks. Except now you have to pay a fee to have a pass, an adventure pass, to go to the national parks for the same thing that you paid the tax on so that they could have a national park, but now you have to pay for the national park. And now your car registration is going up so they could pay for the highway patrol and for Caltrans. And by the way, there's thousands of jobs that are duplicated in the California Caltrans system. Do you know that? Thousands. The legislature knows this. There are thousands of jobs where two people are doing the same job. And there's two paychecks, two pensions, two health care, two sets of benefit packages. Except the Caltrans union and or the state legislature and or the governor decided that we're not going to address that. We're not going to eliminate those jobs. We're not going to lay off people. Listen, nobody wants to be laid off. But when people are going to work 3 jobs so that they could provide for their family, so that somebody could have a $70,000, $80,000 pension when they retire, that's kind of a tough go, right? And you got to figure it out. Where are you going to put it in? And if you haven't guessed, it's one political party that's pushing to keep the membership in the unions over those 3,000 people instead of laying them off. There's one political party that's in charge of the governorship and the state assembly and the state senate. So it doesn't matter what the opposition jumps up and down and says. The Democrats run the entire state of California, meaning the good things that happen they can take credit for, and the bad things that happen they have to take the blame for. Right? It's not a one-way street. I get it. It happens both ways. But do you realize this bubble is going to burst? 10 largest cities right here in the state of California, pretty significant. Los Angeles, San Diego, San Jose, Sacramento, Oakland, and Bakersfield. They devoted more than 15% of their budget goes to the pension system and the retiree health care. That was in 2015. What is it now that Obamacare has brought it up 2022, 25% or more? I think you're going to see a much larger contribution. San Jose is nearly 30% in 2016. 30. That means 3 out of every $10 or so goes where? 3 out of $10 goes to pay people who no longer do the job. And the rest of the dollars go to pay somebody else who does the job. And if those people live long enough, you're going to have 2 retirees for one person living, all 3 being paid for the same job that they used to do or currently do. Do you kind of see where it goes backwards? And I'm concerned, not because I don't think people work hard and deserve their pensions, of course. You guys are the ones that make everything work. It's because I think that there's such a high echelon of management dollars that are paid, and they forget about the little people. They forget about the middle-class worker. They forget about the folks that are putting the food on their table every month. Not the people that are in management at College of the Canyons, right? You guys know that the number 2 person still makes over $20,000 a month. Monday through Friday, $1,000 a day. Monday through Friday, every day, $1,000, $1,000, $1,000, $1,000, $1,000. The week's over, and another $1,000 the next week, with amazing vacation pay. Oh, but Arif, you don't understand. No, folks. This is taxpayer money. You want College of the Canyons to exist? Fantastic. You tell the people that attend there, this is what you're paying the administration. They're amazing people. They're doing a great job, and you have to pay for it. You have to pay $500 a unit. I don't know, whatever it costs, $200 a unit. Pick a number. Oh, wait, it's not worth it? Well, then we got to tell the people that you guys need to take a pay cut or we need to fire people. Oh, it is worth it? Okay, well then charge me more in parking fees and other things. Because it is a public entity. You understand that, right? It's a public entity. That means you go to work so they can retire in Newport Beach. You go to work so they can retire in another state and pay nothing for their retirement in California income tax. Wait. You have to go to work longer so that they can retire better. It's not right. I hate the fair word. That's an F word in my book. I hate the fair word. But it's just not right. Something has to change. I'm not the answer guy. I'm just the exposer guy. I just think there's a problem, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know how they're going to solve it. I think there needs to be somebody who stands up and says, hey, this is enough. We'd love to do these things. We just can't afford to do these things. I don't care if you think it should be done. I agree. Yes, it should be. And we don't have the money. So, Jeff, one of the things we're looking at is there's an ongoing push. And for this poor lady, 71 years old, been retired, worked for 29 years, retired 12 years ago. Where is she going to go back to work at 71?
She's not.
Computers are different.
No.
Software, technology, systems, policies, everything's different.
Right. She didn't just retire 10 minutes ago and then, oh, by the way, now I can go get another job because I just left the workforce. I can just hop right back in. She's been retired for, 12 years, over a decade now. I mean, look how much the world has changed in 2 years, much less 12. And this poor gal has to go back to work. I don't think so. I don't think that's in her game plan. I think the culture shock has to kind of set in that, wow, I'm taking a 60% pay cut. And I better hope that my house is paid off. Oh, all those things that I used to do for my kids or my grandkids, that may change. Does she have a spouse? We don't know all of the details of her finances. If she had any other savings, any retirement accounts, whether it was IRAs or her deferred compensation of any sort. Let's hope that she has that. But it sounds like she put most of, if not all of her eggs in one basket by relying on the pension system with her employer.
And realize this, you guys, it's not a function of just the pension CalPERS. CalPERS is given a set of rules that each of the organizations that are members of CalPERS, like the city, the county, state, Santa Clarita City, they're members of CalPERS. So they say, hi, we're the city of Santa Clarita, or we're the city of Loyalton. We want our employees to get this much money, percentage-wise, at this age, if they've worked for this many years, and we want it to go up this much every year if there's a cost of living increase. And they set up a formula. CalPERS does the calculations and comes back and says, oh, if you have a 50-year-old lady, she's working for this many hours, this many years, full-time, and she makes this much money, then you need to put in a contribution of X every year. So there's kind of a sub-bucket of dollars that CalPERS sets aside for that city or county. And CalPERS says, trust us, we're going to manage those buckets of dollars. And if we get you a higher amount of interest, then your contribution next year, City of Santa Clarita, goes down. If we don't give you, if there's a recession or if we have a 2008 or a 2000, 2001, 2002, we have negative years where the market's lower, and tough luck, City of Santa Clarita, you have to put in more money. Okay, so those kinds of contribution conversations are very short-sighted. Because they're not managed for the long haul. They're managed every year, every 6 months, so they have these grandiose expectations of getting certain rates of return, and they used to have them really out of control. And now they're a little bit nicer, a little bit more in line, but still, many would say not in the right bucket.
Yeah, far too aggressive for this environment anymore, I would say.
Yeah, I think so. I think folks have to kind of dial back some of those a little bit. And now what you have in place is the city giving a dollar bill that says, hey, or a bill that says you got to pay this many dollars. Here's your bill. In this case, $1.6 million. Give it to us by the state, or your employees no longer receive the pensions, and we have to cut it back to the minimums. So this is kind of scary. Now, hopefully this will get resolved. Hopefully this will get settled. And you might say, it's only 4 or 5 employees. It's no big deal. Well, no. Instead of $1.6 million, do you understand the city of Los Angeles is $30 million? And the state of California is, $1 billion, right? These numbers go up as the amount of employees go up. So what is the answer? I don't know. They've tried some reform. People are voting it down. There's some pushback in San Jose when, they were talking about it, police officers retiring with $100,000 a year pensions and the old pension spiking, which is now basically illegal or it's not allowed anymore. So I think you'll see some of those reforms kick in. My problem is you have such a very high level of administrative costs at some of these agencies that it's not a company that makes, we're going to make these glasses, Arif, and everybody loves them, so we're going to make more of them and we're going to make lots of money. We've proven it because, can you see, the market wants our product. Just like an iPhone, right? Everybody likes iPhones. Fantastic. Of course, what happened to Apple price? It went up. So when people like a product, that's those folks that you should reward. Government jobs and entities where it's almost impossible to fire somebody unless you punch your boss, you can't give them the same kind of market. You have to measure differently. I don't know how exactly to measure. I mean, everybody's got opinions on that. This isn't the place for it, but I think you need to measure it differently.
And the other side of the problem is everybody else wants everybody else to change.
It's the not in my backyard, the NIMBY.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody wants the trash dump, and everybody wants the nuclear reactor for low-cost energy, and everybody wants...
don't do it here.
Not me. Yeah, my guy's a good guy. Everybody else is crummy. All right, we'll be back in just a minute. Hey, we've got some solutions for you. Surprise, surprise. Total Financial Solutions. That's what we're all about. Total Financial Solutions, safer money hour. I'm Arif Halaby. That's Jeff Gerard. We'll be right back.